Sri Lanka is a hotspot of biodiversity. No matter where you go, the country is lush with vegetation, largely due to high rainfall and an evenly distributed network of watercourses. This is Batalegala Kanda, an imposing landmark in the wet parts of the country that commands the beauteous valley of Aranayaka. Like in most parts of Sri Lanka, for the villagers here, paddy cultivation is their main occupation. Ringed in by a mountainscape, the village is set against a picturesque backdrop. The soil that had drained down these slopes over the periods have made the valley extremely fertile. This is why even their homesteads are thick with vegetation and much of their daily diet comes straight from the garden. Within these thickets around their humble homes, there lie hidden another very special group of plants. Mostly vines and creepers, these plants with specialized roots give the villager the yam. Once the yams formed a bulky portion in a villager's daily diet. But all that goodness of the yam got literally buried with the invasion of the European potato. This is the story of the resurrection of the traditional yam to its former glory. This is Damayanti Godamulla. Born in this village, she is one of the young activists who is engaged in seeking solutions to food security by maximizing utility of resources within a village community. Her focus is on traditional yams and the role it can play in attaining food security. The task is by no means an easy one. Much of the wisdom and traditions wrapped around these yams are only a distant memory now. The trendy foods and their cultivation practices have not only put the yams into disuse, but even endangered their very existence. But she is optimistic. Before that could happen, she needs to gather in the facts. These experienced elders are a valuable resource to her.
උත්සාහ කරා මේ ප්‍රදේශය තුල තිබුණු වඳ වෙලා ගිය ප්‍රභේද අඳුන ගන්න. එතනදී විශේෂයෙන්ම කැල වන රොදවල් වල තිබුණු කටුවල හිරිතල ජාවල වගේ දේවලුත් ඒත් එක්කම ගොවිබිම් තුල තිබුණු අනිත් ගොවි මහත්තුරු ළඟ තිබුණු ප්‍රභේදත් අපි එකතු කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ඒ එකතු කිරීම තුල අපිට පුළුවන් වුණා මේ ප්‍රභේද වැඩි කරගන්න.
By now, they fully understand that the traditional home garden is the best place to regenerate the many types of yams in order to achieve food security. And they also realized that traditionally women play a lead role in the management of a home garden. So the first initiatives of the ambitious program rallied around the women folk of the village. They were encouraged with the know-how of growing traditional yams in their gardens. Lackluster attitude shown by the Department of Agriculture and the so-called trendy agricultural practices advocated by private companies created doubts in the minds of the villager.
අපි උත්සාහ දරනවා මේ බිම නැවත කාබනිකව මේක තිරසාරව පවත්වාගෙන යාම සඳහා පරිසරයට හිතකාමී ලෙස වගා ක්‍රම හඳුන්වලා දීලා ගොවීන් යොමු කරන්න. තවත් පැත්තකින් CIC සහ වෙනත් කම්පැනි වලින් හඳුන්වලා දෙන බීජ වර්ග සහ පොහොර වර්ග හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න රජයේ උත්සාහ දරනවා.
That is when Damayanti and her small crew of activists realized that they had to do it alone if they were to achieve success. It was through their sole efforts that they were able to identify different types of yams and how to effectively propagate them. It came as a result of pooled knowledge. Also, heeding to traditional knowledge helped them to gain progress and reach their goals a lot faster. The cultivation of traditional yams is extremely environmentally friendly because they don't necessitate the use of pesticides or the application of artificial fertilizer. Organic compost, usually to be had in their very gardens, some water and the right methodology of planting is all that is required. The villagers even got to know the know-how of preparing environmentally friendly ways of making their own pesticides. One of the techniques the activists used in motivating the growing of traditional yams amongst the women folk is the practice of maintaining a field diary.
අපේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය තුළ කරන හැම ක්‍රියාවලියම මේගොල්ලන්ගේ පොතේ ලියන්න කියලා කිව්වා ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඊළඟට ඒ ලියනත් එක්කම ගෙවත්තේ වෙන වෙනස ඒ පොත තුළ නැවත සටහන් කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ මම එහෙම කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගෙවත්තේ මොනවා හරි ඒගොල්ලෝ නෙලා ගත්තා නම් ඒක ආහාරයට ගත්තා නම් ඒක පවා අපි සටහන් කරන්න කිව්වා. දෙවැනි කාරණේ තමයි ඒ ගෙවත්ත තුළට අපි දෙන උපදෙස් ගිහිල්ලා අපේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ නිලධාරී මහත්තයාට සටහන් තබා ගැනීම ඒ පොතේම සිදු කරා.
This way, they clearly understood the task they were carrying out. Also, they came to grips with what food security really meant. The result was that on their own initiative, they began to cultivate more and more of traditional yams in their home gardens. The next task of the activists was to propagate yams found in other parts of the country. Today, they boast of 59 varieties of yams in over 200 garden plots. All of this goodness was what got related as useless by the invasive wave new food types advocated and grown by the experts.
අපිට උවමනා වුණා ඇත්තටම මේකට ගොවි මහතුරුන් එක්ක මේ ගමන දීර්ඝ කාලීනව යෑම සඳහා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගොවිබිම් තුල නැවත මේක දිර කිරීම සඳහා කාගේ හෝ මූල්‍ය අනුග්‍රහයක් එතනදී අපිට පුළුවන් වුණා ව්‍යාපෘතියක් ලෙස ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නට ව්‍යාපෘති සංකල්පයක් හැටියට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණා UNDP JFSGP වැඩසටහනට පුංචි සංකල්පයක් හැටියට දේශීය අල වර්ග සංරක්ෂණය තුලින් ජෛව විවිධත්වය කියන ව්‍යාපෘතිය.
Thus fortified with the monetary assistance and consultancy received from the UNDP JEF Small Grants Program, they were able to carry out their tasks more methodically and effectively. This demonstration plot and the seed bank in the village was a result of this assistance. Next in line in the program of events was to extend the usability of these traditional yams from the usual boiled meal to making other eatables. The village ladies, who had a deft hand in the local cookery dishes, improvised ways and means of dishing out the yam in a variety of palatable and pleasing recipes. Without a doubt, if this trend goes munching on, fast food mania of the invasive foods would certainly spin out of fashion. The slow foods will make a comeback and stand its ground. What better place to stake its claim than with the future? These kids in the village school get a meal now made with yams grown in the area with no additives, no preservatives, no chemical pesticides, no chemical fertilizer. It is wholesomely nutritious and wholesomely healthy. With the resurgence of the traditional yam, native physicians too were seen grinding in the curative properties of yam once again in their medicines. With due credit to the social mobilization, women in these rural communities in Aranayaka have indeed come a long way. Switching to the traditional yam has certainly strengthened their social and economic well-being. Everyone is kept happy now that they have something noticeable in their kitties. Irrespective of their age, the young and the old have put their might behind a just cause. Happy times are back again. Harvesting over, it is a time of plenty. Unlike other years, this time the traditional table of sweet eats and oil cakes have been all turned out from the yams grown in their home gardens. Their gleaming faces says it all. Food security through the use of traditional yams has now become an integral part of their lives, rooting itself healthily, nutritiously into the very traditions they believe in. Yams in search of their roots.